So today, we are diving headfirst into one of the biggest mysteries out there in all of science, philosophy, maybe even existence itself. We're talking about consciousness. We're about to go on a 3,000-year-old investigation to find the ghost in the machine. And trust me, the answer might just change how you see, well, pretty much everything.
Okay, so let's get right into it. There's this thing in science called the hard problem of consciousness. And it's actually pretty simple. We can scan the brain, right? We can map every single neuron, track every electrical pulse firing. We can see all the machinery working. But where in all of that biological hardware is the one who's actually having the experience? Where's the you in there? The one who's actually experiencing the color red, or feeling the warmth of the sun, or even just hearing my voice right now?
You know, modern neuroscience is kind of like someone who's obsessively studying a movie screen. They're analyzing every single pixel, the colors, the motion. They're seeing the show, but they are completely missing the beam of light from the projector that's making the whole thing possible. They're stuck looking at the effects, and they just can't seem to find the cause.
But what if I told you this isn't a new problem? What if I told you an ancient text started this exact same investigation 3,000 years ago? This is not some new age puzzle we just cooked up. An ancient text called the Kena Upanishad kicks off not with an answer, but with the very same detective question that we're asking today.
And this is the opening interrogation. Right from the get-go, the Upanishad looks at the body, the brain, the senses, and it sees them for what they are. Amazing pieces of machinery, really sophisticated hardware. The eye is a lens, the brain is a processor. But the text demands to know, who's the user? Who is the operator sitting behind all this incredible equipment?
And this is where we get our first huge clue in this mystery. The text answers that the real power is the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind, the eye of the eye. Now look, this sounds like some kind of riddle, but it's not. It's actually a definition. It's saying consciousness isn't an object we can find with our instruments. It's the fundamental power that makes finding anything at all possible in the first place.
Okay, let me break this down, because it's a brilliant way to think about it. Your physical eye, it's just a piece of hardware. It's inert matter. It can't see any more than a camera sitting on a shelf can. The eye of the eye is the consciousness, the actual seer, that uses the eye to see. It's the difference between a light bulb and the electricity that makes it glow. We keep studying the bulb, but the Upanishad is telling us to investigate the electricity. Okay, and here's where the mystery really twists on itself. The text gives this warning. Anyone who thinks they know it, with a capital I, actually doesn't. And why is that? Well, because you can only know something that's an object, something separate from you. You can't know the ultimate subject, the ultimate knower, because, well, you are it. You are the knower.
Think about it like this, right? Right now, try to see your own eyes without using a mirror. You can't, right? The tool you use for seeing can't see itself. Or try to bite your own teeth. Impossible. The instrument of biting can't be its own target. It's the exact same logic. The mind cannot know the ultimate observer, because that observer is the one that's doing all the knowing. You're the projector light. You can't also be a character on the screen.
All right, to really hammer this mind-bending point home, the Upanishad gives us this amazing little story, kind of like a case study, and it's all about the most powerful forces you can imagine going up against a single humble piece of straw.
So, the story goes like this. The gods of fire and wind get super arrogant after winning this huge battle, and they start thinking, hey, we're the source of all power. So this mysterious spirit shows up and challenges them. Fire, who boasts he can burn the entire universe down to ashes, can't so much as singe a single tiny blade of grass. Then wind comes along, who says he can blow anything away, and he can't budge that same little straw, not even a millimeter. So what's the lesson here? What's the takeaway? Those gods, fire and wind, they're just metaphors for our own powerful tools, our senses, our physical strength, our intellect. And the story shows us that on their own, they're completely powerless. They're just agents. The hardware is totally useless without permission from the underlying power source, this conscious principle that the Upanishads calls Brahma. So Indra, the king of the gods, who kind of represents the mind or the ego, he rushes to figure out this mysterious spirit, but poof, it vanishes. And in its place appears wisdom personified. And it's wisdom, not the raw intellect, that reveals the truth. All that power, that big victory they had, it all came from that one single source. The intellect can't grasp it directly. You need something else, a higher kind of wisdom, to show you the truth. And what's so wild is that this ancient story perfectly solves a puzzle that still messes with scientists today. It's called the homunculus problem. The idea is, if there's a little man in your head watching the movie of your life, then who's inside his head watching his movie? You see? It just goes on forever. The Kena Upanishad just slices right through that knot. It says there is no little man. There's only a self-luminous light that is its own witness. It doesn't need another light to be seen.
Okay, so let's do a quick rundown of the clues we've gathered from this 3,000-year-old cold case. First, always ask Kena, which means by whom. Always trace things back to the source. Second, remember the difference between the subject and the object. You can't know the self because you are the self. Third, the straw test is there to remind us that all our greatest powers are just instruments. And finally, the big one. Consciousness comes first. Matter doesn't create consciousness. Consciousness makes matter possible.
You know, most of us spend our entire lives just polishing the machinery, our bodies, our careers, our minds, all in the hope of getting a better experience out of it. The Kena Upanishad asks us to completely shift our focus. It says, stop identifying with the hardware. You're not the camera, you are the one looking through it. You are not the machinery, you are the operator. And according to this ancient text, realizing that simple, profound truth isn't just a fun fact, it changes everything.